This video is going to cover using saved reports for policy updates. While you're usually going to go into a lead or client's file to update their policy when you're going through their annual review and doing it manually, for example. So if we just needed to roll this policy over, the renewal date will become the 24th, the 2024 rather than 2023, for example. Or maybe they term this policy out or cancel it, and then you have a new policy for them starting in 2024, for example, right? So that would be a one-to-one relationship where you're manually updating that person's file with their new policy details. But if you need to do a bulk policy update, you'll need to do it in a very specific way. The reason being is that it has to be handled delicately. You can't just go to clients, select bulk update, and change things from here on a policy. There's too many complications with commissions and so on. So we have a workaround. What you'll do is you'll go down to reports. You'll go to saved reports. You're going to build a new report. You'll name it something like policy update. And then you're going to select client policies, and I'd also select lead policies just in case some of your agents forgot to convert those leads to clients. You'll notice I've got other custom record types. You can also follow their policies as well, but for the moment, we're just going to do leads and client policies. Now, you can do this by carrier if you wanted to go carrier by carrier and then just keep refining the export. But for this case, I don't have too many example policies in my system, so I'm just going to do all. You also could do just by the policy statuses of in force and pending. The one thing that you might want to do is leave that blank so that way you can check in case somebody forgot to add in the policy status, which can impact your commissions and then also the or commission tracking, I should say, as well as potentially not triggering an automation that you had wanted. So it might be good for us to leave that blank so that way you get all policy statuses returned. And you can also do based off of other things, like maybe we want to check only for the people who their renewal date is currently 2023. So renewal date first day of the year to the last day of the year. But in this case, again, I might be doing some real cleanup work on my policies and the data that I'm having in there. So I'm going to just leave that blank. So that way all of my policies get returned back to me. The more of these filters that you put on this first page, the more refined the data will be, but the more excluded things might get. So I'm going to hit next. This is where you're going to decide how you want to group the data. Maybe you want to group it by assigned agent, or maybe by carrier. These are just groupings so that way you can see it in a bar chart, a pie chart, or a list format, either by the number of records, commissions, renewals, or premiums. So I'm going to choose number of records. I might also put a sort order. So maybe I want the person's last name. So the lead or the client's last name is going to be the sort order. In this case, I have a feeling I'm going to want the carrier to be the sort order, but you can choose from anything up here that you want to group or sort by. Down below, these are the report columns that the report will return as the results. So therefore, anything you put up here in the groupings needs to also appear down here. So I need assigned agent. I also need carrier name. You'll notice I've got carrier product status, but that is not the same. So I'm going to hit carrier name, right? So now those things that are up here are now down here as well. So we're set for that. Now we want to add in some more details. So I want to know what the premium is. I want to know what the renewal date with year is. Maybe I also want to see the effective date, or definitely that policy status. But the most important thing that I need to add in here is the policy record ID. Record product ID is what it's called. So this field called record product ID is critical. The reason it's critical is that it's going to be the way that we match against for that policy update. I'll show you that in a moment, but just know you absolutely need this field for the update to work. So now let's delete some stuff we don't need. So name, status, so this is the primary status of the lead or the client, so it might be active, and you might have 3 policies with them, so one is canceled, one is in force, another is in force as well. City, probably I don't need that. Maybe I need the state. I don't need the zip. Maybe I want to reorganize this a little bit so that way my carrier, I already kind of have that info in there. So carrier, premium, renewal date, policy status. Again, just organize it the way that you see best and then hit submit. Now, we need to find that report. So let's use this little filter, type in our name. So policy updates. Uh-oh, I did 2 of the same. And now we can run that report if we wanted to just kind of manually look in there and say, oh, I want to go into this person's file and edit this renewal date, for example. Or what we can do is download that CSV file or email it to ourselves. If it's a very large file, I recommend emailing it, but let's, for this instance, do download. I'm going to open this file. And now what I need to do is get it a little bit more organized. I'm going to check for missing statuses. So here, look at all those blank statuses. Again, this is the record status. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to organize this. I'm going to sort it by, let's do it by policy status first. So here we've got canceled, so I don't really need that much information for them. So if it's canceled, I'm going to delete that. In-force and underwriting, pending, submitted, I'm probably going to want to check all of those. The termed one, I don't need to update that one. So I'm going to delete that row. Then here, these are just my totals. I'm going to delete those. So now here I see these client product, it's all blank. So I might need to go in and figure out what product they're supposed to have. So you can edit all of this so that way you can get those premiums in. So if I needed to update that premium, and then maybe I could do a find. So for all of these policies that are in force or in underwriting, I'm going to just do a little quick look. I'm going to make sure that all of those are actually rolling over. And then what I can do is I can do a find and replace. So I'm going to replace 2023 with, 01. We've got to be very exact. So 01, 2023, and we're going to replace that with 01/2024. I don't want to just replace 2023 with 2024. The reason I want to be super specific is just in case a premium is $2,023, right? So be as specific as you can, and then just hit replace all. And now that has been updated. You'll also notice here I've got a few little outliers. So I've got to maybe just tweak that a little bit. So 2024, and then maybe this is just going to also be 1/1/2024 instead of 12/31. So you're just fixing it the way that you want. And then maybe what you'll do next is sort, instead of by policy status, you're going to sort by the carrier name, because maybe there's been a premium increase for a certain carrier in a certain plan, or by the carrier product status. So let's do that, carrier product status. So let's say for this HMO from Aetna, the premium is now $300. And then I can just update it here. So that way I'm updating it on the spreadsheet. I don't need to go back and forth into each person's file, but this now will update that. So that's how we're going to do that. Now, if I wanted to update this status, because I'm like, oh, this should be active, this will not map through to the updates, because we're only, in this case, updating the policies, not the records themselves. So just know that you would have to do that update on a traditional client update rather than policy update. It's a little confusing, but just know you're not able to edit the record details, only the policy details on this. Okay, so we've updated all of that information. We've cross-referenced some stuff. Now I'm going to delete anything I don't need. So I don't need the type. I don't need their name even. I don't need their state, because I don't want to accidentally update anything that I don't want to. Policy status, delete. So maybe also some of these are, I need to change them to enforce. So I'm just going to, instead of saying in underwriting or pending submitted, I could do a find and replace, or I can do a manual update depending, because maybe this person still really is in underwriting. And that's why I don't have a renewal date for them yet. I can remove this information, but the one thing I cannot remove, even though we're not going to do any updates on it, is the record product ID. I need that for the match against, which I'm about to show you. So first, I'm going to go into Radius. I'm going to go to clients. I'm going to import clients, and I'm going to scroll down and look for this update existing client policies. Now, here are the valid field names. You'll notice this is different from when you just do a general client import. This is specific to the products, so it's slightly different. So I'm going to just check against this to make sure everything is the same as what I've put it into my file, which it should be. And I'm going to then save this as a CSV file. So save as, or export to CSV. Okay. Export. Now I'm going to go back to my Radius page, scroll down, browse for my Radius policy updates. It's a CSV. I'm going to open that. Next step. So here, this is where I have to do some matching. So status. So since this is a policy import, it will not update the record status for me. So we need to do that separately. Premium found itself. Renewal date, we're just going to map that to renewal date that way. So even though it says renewal date with year, this is going to have that year in there. And then the product record ID, we're going to map to record ID. And now I'm going to hit import. So it's okay that we're not able to map this status field, because this is only updating the policies and not the actual lead or the client record. You will get an email once that update is complete. Once you get that email, you can go into your clients, think there was somebody named Paul that I updated. So I'm going to go into Paul's file. Not Paula Vaughn. Here, Paul Smith. That's who it was. Policies. I can edit that. And then his premium has updated to $300 and his renewal date has updated to the 2024 date.